Welcome to Shop Talks, which is a production of the Ink Kitchen. Check out inkkitchen.com for free information. And our YouTube channel, Ink Kitchen YouTube channel. This video will be up there eventually, and we have a lot of them there. It's all free, good information. Brought to you by our sponsors, Los Angeles Apparel, AlphaBroder, Stalls Reese, Hirsch, and Fairweather Johnson, and this Impression Show. I'm here with Jay Bussell of the Equipment Zone, and we're going to talk about DTF and DTG. What are they? What do you use them for? And, you know, I almost feel like I don't need to be up here because Jay can talk.
That's not true at all, Rick. That is not true at all. What are they? Why should I care? What do they do?
All right, let's just start with, you know, people new to the industry. What is DTF? What is DTG? What does it stand for?
Great.
What is the equipment?
Those are questions I actually know the answer to, so I'm excited about that. This interview is going to work out just great. DTG is direct to garment. Direct to garment, think of it as the direct application onto a substrate. And DTG printing has been around for a while. We'd say over 20 years now, so we're not quite to the 25-year mark in a commercial setting, but the last 20 years have been a lot of development for DTG printing. Lots of printers have come and gone, lots of brands that are no longer here, but the technology is here to stay. And I'm also thrilled to tell you, I know you know this, Rick, but DTG printing is not going to replace screen printing.
Oh.
As was predicted by our friend Scott Fresner in 2002. Apparently screen printing's still here. I don't know if you've seen that at the show today. So DTG printing, though, is an inkjet technology. So it's an inkjet process. You're jetting ink, just like your inkjet printer at home, but it's a much bigger printer, and it has a little bit different ink in it, and it's specifically, you know, made to print on apparel. And DTG printers themselves act and function like a traditional DTG, like any other inkjet printer, but of course we're going to have, instead of paper, we're going to have a t-shirt, or we're going to have a 100% cotton t-shirt or a high cotton content product, because the ink chemistry was actually built for cotton, not for polyester. So a lot of folks in the beginning, they were always asking us, well, what else can I print on? Does it print on polyester? What about jerseys? Can I do team names and numbers? Well, even if you could, which technically you can, the profitability of it is just really tough. So we try to tell people, no matter what the brand, that the printer was designed for 100% cotton or high cotton content. The chemistry was made for that. The printer was made for that. So let's stick with that, right? Let's let the printer print and do its job the best way it's supposed to be.
There is one printer that does print on poly.
There
right?
is.
This is a Cornette printer that does, but that is a very expensive piece of equipment, and there is not a small scale model of that. And you can, as he mentioned, print on polyester with most of these machines, but if you saw what you went through to do it, you would not ever try it yourself.
The cost is just prohibitive.
Yes.
It's just not reasonable.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so, and then what's DTF?
So DTF is a direct to film. So instead of printing on the garment, we're going to make a heat transfer. We're going to directly print onto a PET film. And so that's where that idea came from. Same printer technology, really, an inkjet, but rather than printing directly on the substrate, t-shirt, jacket, hoodie, you're printing on a film. And the upside to that is it opens up all of those other substrates that the DTG printer was not really made to do or made to print on. So I now am using a tool in some cases. I know this is true with Epson. I know this is true with Brother and several others. You're able to use that same DTG printer and print on sheets so that you could do a transfer and then go back and do a t-shirt. That's a really flexible model for a lot of people, Rick, as you know, that are starting out. Maybe you're thinking, I don't know if I want to invest in that. Well, your investment, the return on that investment just doubled or tripled by being able to have film, because you're using the same tool to print on a piece of film that you can now put on a bag or on a hat or on a jersey or on something that is not 100% cotton. And so that's why DTF
or a
technology,
tough location.
Or
So
locations,
DTG,
right.
you have to load it on
100%.
some kind of platen, and you can, there are various platens, but there's not everything. So something with a lining, something like
sometimes seams,
Yeah.
pockets, buttons, all of these other things that you see in a retail setting may have been done prior to sewing. First of all, let's be honest, that could be way up the supply chain. But then at the same time, what you just brought up, like a hoodie with a seam, a pocket, something that has a lining, something that's got a special treatment on the outside, a weather protection, something like that.
Right. So there's a lot of uses for it. It's a good thing in an emergency, I'll tell you.
I'll tell you, we were having this little side conversation before we started, and what gets me most excited about the technology is that neither are going away. Just like we were joking that DTG printing is not going to replace screen printing. Well, DTF, the direct-to-film process, that's not going to replace DTG printing. It's just another tool in the toolbox. And if you use it well, you're going to increase your revenue. And that's what we get excited about, is helping small businesses actually see a better return on their investment.
All right. So besides using your DTG printer to make DTF transfers, there's now DTF machines.
Yeah, dedicated machines, no doubt.
So what are those machines? Or not what brands, but
Yeah,
what makes them different?
So what makes a standalone DTF printer special is you're increasing the speed and the output. You're going to see roll-fed systems that are going to be able to produce much more volume in less time. So instead of doing one sheet at a time, now you're doing square feet at a time. And you might be able to get numbers that start out somewhere between 50 and 60 square feet an hour. And then there are printers that are over 100 square feet an hour. And all you're going to see in the next 2 to 3 to 5 years are printers that are bigger, faster, film, ink, and adhesive that is better, so that the feel is softer, so that the output not only is going up, but the perceived value is going up, and the cost of production is going down. So I'm excited to see what happens in the next 2 to 3 to 5 years. DTF is here to stay, folks. It's not going away. And I can tell you, every heat press manufacturer on the planet is still singing with joy, because who knew that heat transfers were going to be so, PG-13, or where are we?
No, you can say whatever the fuck you want.
He said it first, folks. I'll just say this. They're damn happy. How about I just say that? Those heat press companies are fired up, because you have to have that. That's the final piece of the puzzle. The transfer is a transfer. You printed it in reverse, probably in reverse order. So you did CMYK and then white ink on top of it in a mirror fashion, and then you're transferring it onto another product. So you have to have that heating element. So you still have that heating element in DTG printing as well. That's still a component. Never going to get away from that either. But at the same time, you could use a dryer. Say, with DTF, you're not going to be in a dryer application. You're going to always have that direct contact. And so it's just a good place to be, whether you're at the beginning of the ride or whether you're grumpy, seasoned old guys like us, one of us older than the other, one of us with more experience than the other. How about I say it that way? That's more positive, right, Pam? Will you appreciate that? But the reality is that I get excited when I see it, because, Marshall Atkinson's our friend, and he gets sidetracked on art all the time. And I remember him talking about, I remember when Photoshop just came out, okay, and I got goosebumps. Well, it's how I feel when I saw DTF and I saw all of these printers come to the market. At first, we're like, where are they all coming from?
I think all one place with different names on them, actually.
Quite possibly. That might be true. Unconfirmed rumors.
2 places, maybe.
2 or 3, perhaps. But the reality is that the demand is also going to push that, meaning what you like and what your customers like. That's going to feed back up the system, and people are going to be like, oh, we didn't know you wanted that. Oh, you want a softer hand. Oh, you want it raised. You're going to see all kinds of glitters and foils and other things are going to be coming to that market in that DTF space. So it's a fun ride. You're at the beginning of the stage. There's lots of, I don't know if you saw how many DTF dedicated printers there were at the show, but I counted over 8 that I've seen. Maybe I missed a few. So
yeah, there could be more. All right, let's just go back a little bit. So what is DTG particularly good for doing?
That's a great question. DTG specifically is at its best when you're printing on the best quality of shirt. Now, I brought a couple. I wanted you guys to see this. So same exact graphic, same process. The only variable that changed was the t-shirt itself. So it's the same ink, it's the same temperatures, the same printer, the same graphic, prepared everything the same. The only variable was the shirt. And the reason I'm going to pass these out so that you can see them is you'll see a difference. And comparing them side by side is not always an awesome thing to do with your customer, because they may have fallen in love with the first one and it was a more affordable shirt. And if they love it, right? So, but you also have those discerning customers that have an expectation that's higher than that. Or you yourself, you might have an expectation that's higher than that, and you're looking for quality that's higher. So the reason I bring this up to answer your question is the highest quality shirts print the best. It's that simple. So if they're trying to make a t-shirt that's less expensive, or a hoodie, or a jacket, or anything that's got that high 100% cotton or a high cotton content, if they're cutting corners, you're gonna see it. Does that make sense? And we're not saying they're cutting corners, but what we're saying is attention to detail matters. The finest, tightest weave possible matters. The finest threads, ring spun cotton, high single counts, really smooth surface to print on. You know, screen printers always talk about that. It's true with DTG printing as well. So we're always in pursuit of that high quality garment, that high quality substrate, so that the ink and everything you do in the process produces an amazing result.
In general, though,
this is where I get corrected.
The machine is used to replicate what people expect from screen printing, right?
In general, this was designed so that people could also have what looks like a screen print, what feels like a screen print. There's even a little bit of a rubbery kind of plastisol feel to it. We're all used to that feeling. And you will have clients that will look at a garment that's been DTG printed and say, it doesn't feel right. Now, I'm falling in love with it because I can barely feel it. But you're gonna have other people that had an expectation where they wanted to feel that kind of, that little texture, that rubber kind of screen print plastisol feel. So ultimately, yeah, you've got an opportunity though that's different than screen printing, because I want to talk about the print on demand side of this. That's what's fueling this. The power of one, the power of personalization. No press operator wants to do this job to only do 12 units. You know? I don't know, Rick, would you?
No.
No. So I have a multicolor design, and even if I have killer artwork that's already separated, if I have to set up a press and do a 6-color job, it's not going to happen for 12 units. But with a DTG printer, it's going to happen. And so you've got this power of one, this print on demand, this Amazon world where they want one, they want it now, maybe they wanted it yesterday, and it's going to print and ship tomorrow.
And so basically a lot of businesses don't need inventory, or if they do just in time versus on demand, but they still don't have to have a huge inventory, yet they can supply people.
And a lot of people smarter than me talk about this all the time, where
I got one right here.
Purchase orders used to go from 100,000s, now they're down to 10,000s of 10 designs, and then they go down to 1,000 units with 10 designs, and let's see which one really sells. Let's see which one really moves. Or let's prototype. Let's do 10 new designs and see which one moves the needle. That way we don't waste any inventory, and then we can go and fulfill that order. And sometimes, and a lot of smart decorators are doing this at high levels, once they know which the design was the winner, then they'll take that over and put it on their screen print press.
Actually, I know an exact story told here up on the stage of a printer in Cleveland, actually, who somebody had the license for a famous musician, and I think they had like 30 designs. 3 sold like crazy. Immediately they went to screen printing. A few others barely screen printing.
Yep.
And then the rest, they were able to fulfill the orders, but then they dropped them because they didn't sell too well.
Yeah, but they weren't stuck.
But they weren't stuck.
Yeah.
They just printed them DTG. If you can get your DTG printing to look like screen printing, is like...
It's a challenge.
It's a challenge, but it's not the same challenge as a screen printing system where you have to have screens, art, films, what have you, leading to a result. Just one person with the machine can get the results when they learn how to do it right.
Yeah, especially if they have that screen print background. They know what to do, they
Right.
can make some modifications. But the actual expectation is important. So if you're going to play in that arena, which isn't easy, you might have to do some printing. You might have to do some spec printing. You might have to set up the press, 6 colors, let's bang this thing out so that we can get it right. If you're playing at that level.
Well, it's funny, but I was talking to somebody actually who worked for an equipment manufacturer, and they were like, oh, we're telling people it can print so many an hour.
Right.
And we're telling people that it can print and look like screen printing. But what they don't tell you is how many you can print an hour that look like screen printing. Because
Tell the
you
whole
can go
story.
very fast and have it not look that great, but
Yeah.
passable maybe for some situations. But if you really want a great result, it goes slower than anybody tells you their machines go.
Yeah, the highest results are going to be
Right.
printing at the slowest speeds so that you can get the maximum
Right.
output.
So DTF, what's DTF good for? What are the typical things you can do with DTF?
I mean, headwear to start. You want me to pass these out? Yeah, grab these two. Let's share, show and tell, right? Look at each of these T-shirts side by side, and you'll see the variation. And the only difference was the shirt. The T-shirt itself changed. But back to Rick's question on DTF, what's it good for? I'm wearing a headwear product right now. Headwear sales are going up because of DTF, literally. Patches are still hot and all of that, but because I have the opportunity to put this on mesh, on poly, on cotton, on blends, it's amazing. And I'm known as the guy that, don't let Jay in the shop with the printer on, because he's going to try something he shouldn't. But you know what? That's the best way to learn.
I know, you had those notebooks, right?
Yeah. So one of the things, roll up the mic. Push it up. I might have pushed it up. I might have blown out the mic.
Grab another one. Battery died.
Battery.
You killed the battery.
Did I kill the battery? Or did
Sucked the life out of the battery, Jay.
I was so fired up about DTF, and then I blew the mic out. Okay, so yes, so one of the things that I get excited about is what else? So let's run down the simple stuff. Backpacks, headwear, bags of every kind and style.
Everything we didn't want to DTG
Everything
or
you
screen
said
print.
no to. Nylon jackets. Oh, I bet you loved printing those, right?
Nylon jackets, koozies,
Koozies, yes.
hats printed.
Hats.
Who wants to screen print a hat?
Nobody wants to screen print a hat. It's a mistake.
Yeah.
We've got
Non-woven bags.
Non-woven
It used to be
bags.
the last thing you ever wanted to print.
Yeah, and
right?
everything that's sustainable is hard to print. But now that you have DTF, it's not hard to print, because you
Even
just have-
polyester.
you just have to find. All you're going to do is play with the temperature. You're gonna set that temperature as low as you can go and still get the transfer off. So I can play with polys at 255 degrees, no problem. Not going to scorch it, not going to burn it, not going to melt it. And that was an issue with all other forms of printing. So you really do open up new doors, because you have new products at your fingertips that you were never ever going to touch before.
So another one that came up for us this week, we had a guy who printed like 300, 7-color front, 5-color back. And then his customer needed like 20 more.
I love, that's the exact,
Right?
Then what?
And he needed them by Saturday. And and we're in the middle of printing. Like, even as a favor, we had no time because we're in the middle of
Even
the
if you
biggest
wanted
job of the
to do
year.
it.
So, it was the answer.
The
Just
answer
made
was-
transfers.
the answer was to make some transfers and fulfill them and set the expectation properly. But if you did the artwork
It didn't look the same, but
it came out close.
and it was done.
and you fulfilled the order and your customer was happy, and unless they were looking at it side by side, they probably didn't know, especially if it was for an end user.
Right.
So that buyer is happy. So, I do want to let you know, DTF on paper, on craft paper, on journal books, on boxes, corrugated, on cork coasters. Yes, I've done them. I see that look, Jed. Okay, wood, on wood. I have done canvas and wood. You're going to play with temperatures and you're going to play with pressure. But once you dial it in, you're going to have that little notebook right by your...
Wooden T-shirt, huh?
Maybe. Maybe. Wooden T-shirt, no.
Hand carved and transferred on.
But
Okay.
here's where you'll see the marriage of all three.
You heard it here first from Jay.
from Jay Bassell at Equipment Zone.
It's going to be the next big thing, wooden T-shirts.
We heard it at Shop Talk, folks. Everybody's getting them, Rick. I don't know about you. Okay. No. Not, but think of it this way. Here's the play. Okay, corporate. I've got new hires. It's really hard to hire great talent. So on their first day, if not only next to their cool desk and a cool computer, they had a kit. And in the kit, literally a box of really cool branded merch. Merch that you would like. Merch that we would keep and wear ourselves. And if you had a cool koozie and a cool coaster and a really cool journal book in a box that said personalized to them with their name on it, hey, Rick, fired up you're here, we're going to crush it. That would make so many people's days, and it's not an impossible thing. So it's also a shippable thing. So if you could do these kits and think of the power of bundling, think of the power of upselling. Now you're not selling a t-shirt, singular one, or a hoodie. You're selling a kit of products that solve more problems. And so you get to be seen as the expert who has got solutions, not a guy who prints t-shirts or a gal who does hoodies, right? You see the difference? I want to be reposition that whole thinking to say, I'm going to be able to provide solutions, and the tools in my toolbox will vary for each one of those. I might be screen printing one day, I might be doing DTG the next, and I might be doing DTF tomorrow. Or, as Rick knows, I'm going to be blending all three, because the neck labels in the back of my shirt, rather than just leave it to Hanes or leave it to Fruit or leave it to, who's your favorite brand? Can you say online? Alpha or
Los Angeles
LA Apparel, right? Guess what? Tear that tag out, customize it, put it in full color, brand it for your customer, okay? You want to do an upsell? Start doing sleeve prints. You could have a whole sheet, gang, step, and repeat of flags, state of Texas, vote, whatever is the moment, right? Whatever is that, I call it merch moment. Make the merch moment your moment, but do it for your customer so that they look like the hero. You play the supporting cast member, and you make Rick and his team look like the heroes. Because they're going to say, wait, for only $2 more, I can get a flag on every single shirt? Yeah, and guess what that flag cost you?
85 cents.
A nickel. Because I did it in DTF, and I have a whole sheet of them. I'm going to cut them out, heat apply them, and that's how you get your kids in the business, by the way. I just want you to know.
What, making flags?
Heat pressing flags on t-shirts. My first job a long time ago was heat pressing screen printed transfers on hats. Who knew? And I'm still here. So beware, kids. There's the exit. Now's your chance. This is the island of misfit toys where guys like us can sit on a stage. They'll give us a mic. They'll let us talk about DTG printing.
Maybe not after this. But so you mentioned mail order, and that exploded during COVID. And one thing you can also make transfer. You don't, besides DTG, you can do so
for sure.
Especially with like tri-blends, polyesters, you can keep transfers on hand.
Absolutely.
And then put those on, so you're not buying the shirt. You're not
Absolutely.
inventorying the shirt, or if you have 10 stores with tri-blends, you just need the transfers and those blanks. You don't have to put them together till they go out the door.
100% agree
and
with that.
And then we also
Yep.
do it for DTG, just as for us at least, isn't great for sleeves, and it's not as noticeable that it's shiny, so they're great for, we keep transfers for the sleeves.
Love it.
That we're doing, otherwise DTG.
Yeah, so one of the things, I'll give a quick shout out to one of the sponsors, Stalls. I don't know if you saw their little activation out front. Stalls had that little, Fort Worth, the cows and the balloons and their heat press, and they let you pick the shirt, they let you pick the design, and if it were a true print-on-demand activation, they would let you heat press that, When you give people that experience, it's a game changer. They can't wait to be the maker of the thing. And so I
saw out in California, there was a Champion store opening, and they had just like a few transfers styles, and people were waiting in line to just decide where to put them on the shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't do that, but there was a whole lot of people wanting to do that.
It's the demand of it. It's the fun of it. They've never done what we've done. We're all jaded and grumpy and still pissed off that we couldn't get the registration just right, or we blew the screen out, or it didn't get reclaimed properly, and right? We have 1,000 variables we're trying to master. But you know what the customer's excited about? Oh my God, it looks so cool. And I got to pick, and I got to put it on that color and that design, and I put it on the back instead of the front. So you're giving them control. And DTG printing can help you do that, and DTF printing can help you do that. Not that screen printing can't, it's just a little more complicated, because there are a lot of people doing successful activations with screen printing. As you can see in the front over there, I don't know who was doing it, but they were doing it here.
We have a talk later about live printing. How do you like
printing.
that? We're on
Love
top of it.
So you're welcome.
Justin Moore.
I like Justin. He knows what he's doing.
Yes,
too.
he does. All right. So what do we go to questions?
Any questions? DTG or
All right.
DTF?
Questions about DTF or DTG?
I promise to make up the best answers I can. If not, I'm okay with that too. I won't be upset. Nope. Good. Everybody's happy. Everybody's thrilled. All right. I guess we did our job.
See, I'm a Quaker. I wait in silence till somebody speaks.
You want it to be awkward for a moment?
Yeah,
Is that
it could be awkward. Any questions about DTF or DTG?
Somebody was asking about speeds. Do you guys want to know?
You better ask a question or we're going to start quizzing you.
I won't, but Rick might. No? You're good? Yeah, he has a question in the front.
We gave out free stuff yesterday when people asked a question. We got a lot more questions.
Oh,
anyway.
Thanks for telling me that now.
Is the DTF be foil or foil transfer on DTF?
It could be, yes. So you would be, in most cases, it's a second level. So you're going to have your DTF printed, and you're going to, just like a screen printed transfer or anything else, foil goes over it, heat press it again, and peel it.
Okay.
So a two-part process.
Two-step process, yep. But can I say this? The glitter, there will be films that already have glitter in them. Mm-hmm. So the DTF part would be printed on there, and when you apply that, it's a one-step process, and you get that glitter to show through.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so there will be sheets available. I don't know if anybody here has them yet. I have seen them. We've experimented with them at Equipment Zone, and so far so good. I was pretty impressed.
So what's the difference between DTF and there's digital heat effect transfer?
I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry. What's the difference between DTF and
digital heat effect transfer?
Digital effect transfers.
I'm not sure that
like the paper they print by toner.
Oh, a white toner.
White toner.
Okay, there is a difference. It's not the same process, and it doesn't have that's a great process for hard substrates.
Yes.
Yeah, the white toner, but DTF is going to be more flexible for all of the other products that we talked about, all of the other substrates, and emplacements like Rick talked about, with a seam or a pocket or buttons or different, it's a little more flexible.
White toner won't work for that.
No, it won't.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Great question.
Yeah.
You should give him a prize or
yeah, I will.
One of your sponsors could kick in and maybe give him a koozie, right?
Other questions about DTF or DTG? Or about anything, really?
Here we go.
So the feel, the hand of the T-shirt between the DTF and the DTG, do you see the DTF getting much better, or have they hit kind of like a high point? And like, how close can it get, in your opinion?
Okay.
So the question is about hand. Is DTF hand going to get better?
Yeah, it is. So great question. The feel of it, how things feel. It's important to us, right? Are you guys like Rick and I, snobs, where we go up and feel everything and we're like, nah, that's not good? Well, if you're not, then it doesn't matter. But if you are, and your customers probably are, then it does matter. How things feel is important. And so to answer your specific question, in the next 2 years, you're going to see everything get a little bit better. Because of the film, because of the adhesive, and because of the ink, you're going to start to see softer hands. Also, people are experimenting with different texture to be able to heat press that application So that second app, so what they'll do with DTF is they're going to do 15 seconds usually on the heat press, hot peel, and they're going to come back over the top of it with a piece of fabric or a piece of Pellon material
Or
parchment or different texture, just real subtle, for 2, 3, or 4 seconds. It's going to take off the shine, it's going to give it a little matte finish, and it'll give it a little softer feel. That is one big step. But the second big step is people that do graphics are getting better at understanding DTF. So old school screen printers who know what a 35 LPI is, and they're going to say, oh, you mean I should do a big fat halftone? Yeah. And they're, oh, you mean I should have open space in the design? Yes. So rather than have just a giant rectangle filled with ink, the artwork is going to play a more important role in both DTG, but mostly DTF, so that it feels better. I can feel more fabric, and so therefore it's a softer feel. It has a little bit more stretch and a little bit more give.
There's actually 30 adhesives, I think, that will work for DTF. So they're eventually going to see that as something, so things will stick better or worse to various substrates. We already use parchment paper or t-shirt on top to make it look, you can also run it down the dryer, will dull it. So, if you're doing transfers and you're doing screen printing, you have a big dryer, you run the shirts down the dryer, it will dull it as well. I don't really know what that process is, but it works.
I personally haven't done it, but I have heard that people are doing it. But that goes back to that page out of my book, which is let's scorch a few, let's burn a few, let's find out, let's figure out how that works. And each of you will figure it out on your own. You're going to try things like literally another t-shirt, the fabric of another 100% cotton t-shirt as that second press for 5 seconds, and you look at it and you're like, oh my God, that looks really good. And then you feel it and you're like, so much softer.
We were trying, I'm going to try more, but we tried sandpaper, like on top. Like, I don't know. I think different things are going to, change the surface a little bit. And then, of course, it depends what the garment is. If it's a polyester garment, it feels slick and crappy anyway, in my estimation. So why not throw a DTF transfer on it?
Is that a technical term, slick and crappy?
Yeah. And then, of course, some things it doesn't matter. So like a non-woven tote bag or on the front of a hat, something like that, it really doesn't matter if it's shiny.
I think also I want to talk to that for just a second before we wrap it up. I believe that those of us that are sitting here today, we're sometimes our own worst critics with that. We let our preferences get in the way, and that's dangerous because your buyer, truth be told, A, may not even care, B, wouldn't know the difference if their life depended on it.
So probably our best artist for screen printing is a veteran of like 25 years. His own kids, it drives them crazy. They don't care what it feels like or how it was done. He's going through a place, they want to buy something, they don't care one bit, not one bit.
And he's over there like mad. He's pissed, right?
Well, my kids won't even let me near a t-shirt when they're around because they'll be like, that is a beautiful shirt or whatever, and I'll be like, it's printed too low.
It's printed too low. Yeah. I can see the underbase. I can see the no.
Yeah.
You start picking it apart, and I do the same thing, and it's not healthy for us.
It's a stupid transfer.
There might be a help group kind of thing we should start, a little 5-step, 12-step program or something. I don't know, but what my point is, don't be that critical of your own work. You will find that more and more people are very open to this idea, especially with DTF. There's very little pushback. I'm getting more pushback from the people that are touching it, going, it's crunchy, or it feels like paper, or I hate the way this feels. And I'm like, why? Why do you hate it? And there's no real good reason. It's just a personal preference. So you know what I mean? You love chocolate, you love vanilla, it's all ice cream. I say we celebrate and go get fat together. That's how I look at it. Well, in my case, I already did that. Oh yeah, you got a little there. Maybe it's the tacos. I got to cut back. But the reality is, it can be a burden for us. We're building our own roadblocks.
All right, we have a question here.
One more question. Is there a difference in durability between DTG, DTF?
That's a great question. The durability question is, I have seen that DTF actually has a longer lifespan because the DTG itself is going to be fine. But what you're going to see, especially on a high cotton content, you're going to see a little degradation of the ink, especially in the first 2 to 3 washes. You're going to see that little bit of fade. that ink isn't like lost. What's happening is the cotton fibers are opening up. So in the beginning, it was all sitting on top. All the dots were perfectly aligned, perfectly smooth surface. Guess what happens? We don't pay attention to how we're supposed to wash it or dry it. We just throw it in the washer on hot, throw it in the dryer on hot, and comes out, and you see those cotton fibers have opened up, and it looks like your DTG print just got dull. It didn't, but it did. You know, if it was improperly cured, you could have lost some ink. But most of the time, that degradation, 2%, 3%, maybe 5% on a worst case scenario, it's really the fabric opening up. It's been washed, it's been dried, it's not the same product. Whereas with DTF, you would not see any change. It's going to be, if it's done right, we have easily gone past 50 washes with one that was not washed and a product that had been washed 50 times, and only the most discerning eye could even see the difference from the print itself. On the garment, you'll see the garment start to degrade. Old t-shirts, you know, the cotton wears out before the print does. So I hope I answered that question well.
Any other questions? All right,
we better let him go.
Yeah.
Is it catch and release program?
So you're going to stick around for a minute because
I'll
make
around.
you. So if you have a private question, he's here. I'm around.
That was a blast, Rick. Thank you. First of all, I want to say the work that they're doing is awesome. Check out that YouTube channel. There's an amazing amount of information there. I feel lucky and honored to be sitting here with these people because it's like, really? They're going to let me talk? But hopefully I said something that's going to make you a difference or help you build your business.
All right. How about a hand for Jay? All right, I want to thank our sponsors again. Made all this free. Los Angeles Apparel, AlphaBroder, Stalls, Reese, Hirsch, and Fairweather Johnson, an impression show. Check out our YouTube channel at Ink Kitchen. All right, thanks for coming.